Choose Yourself. Be Happy, Make Millions, Live the Dream, by James Altucher. Introduction. Imagine this for a moment. It's 2002. The world feels like it's collapsing. The dot-com bubble has burst, and the markets are in a free fall. Now, imagine you're a man who once had millions. You thought you were smart. You sold your company at the right time. You had the life everyone dreams of, the sprawling house, the rock star lifestyle. But now, it's all gone. The phone doesn't ring anymore. Your bank account is empty. Less than empty, actually, because the debts are in the millions. You're looking at your own children, and tears are streaming down your face because you feel like you've ruined their lives. You failed as a father, as a businessman, as a person. The weight is so heavy, you start thinking about the $4 million life insurance policy you have. You start thinking that the only way to give your kids a good life is to end your own. This isn't a scene from a movie. This was the reality for a man named James Altucher. And the terrifying part? This wasn't the only time it happened. He climbed back up, made millions again, and then in 2008, lost it all over. Again. The divorce, the failed companies, the friends who disappeared. The floor became a very familiar place. You might be listening to this and thinking, that sounds awful, but what does it have to do with me? Well, what if I told you that the very same forces that brought a man like that to his knees are the same forces that are reshaping the world for you, right now, as you're stepping into your future? The old promises? Go to school, get a good job, work hard, and a big company will take care of you? That whole roadmap is gone. It's a myth. Today, we're going to explore a book that is more than just a summary of ideas. It's a survival guide for this new world. It's called Choose Yourself, and it was born from the ashes of those failures. By the end of our time together, you will understand the single most important shift you need to make in your thinking to not just survive, but to thrive, to be happy, and to build a life on your own terms. This isn't about starting a business. It's about starting a new way of living. So, let's begin. Book summary. So, what happened to our world? Why did the ground beneath our feet suddenly crumble? To understand this, you have to understand a story that began long before you were born, right after World War II. For the first time in decades, America was booming. Millions of men came home from the war, and women, who had been working in the factories, realized they didn't want to just go back to the kitchen. Suddenly, you had two-income families with more money than they'd ever seen. And a whole industry of very smart people in marketing departments had a brilliant idea. They called it the American Dream. It was a dream of a house with a white picket fence, 2 cars in the garage, and a college education for every child. But here's the secret no one told you. The American Dream was a marketing slogan, invented by the mortgage company Fannie Mae to convince everyone to take on debt. It was a vacuum cleaner that sucked an entire generation into believing that a house, a car, and a corporate job were the keys to happiness. For 50 years, this system worked. Corporations were like giant, benevolent parents. They gave us jobs for life, pensions, and a sense of security. If you played by the rules, you were safe. But underneath the surface, a massive change was happening. Technology was getting smarter. Globalization was connecting the world. And quietly, the need for the human worker, the person in the cubicle, began to shrink. Your bosses, and their bosses, and the people at the very top, they started to realize they could get more done with fewer people. You created more value, but they paid you less. This wasn't personal, it was just business. The corporation's job is to be efficient, and human beings, well, we're not always efficient. Then came 2008. The final crash. It wasn't just a financial crisis, it was the moment the old world officially died. The corporations didn't need to pretend anymore. They had the perfect excuse to get rid of all the dead weight, and the jobs that disappeared, they never came back. Not in the same way. We are now living in what Altucher calls the choose yourself era. What does that mean? It means the gatekeepers are gone. You no longer have to wait for a boss to pick you for a promotion. You don't need a publishing house to pick you to be a writer. You don't need a record label to pick you to be a musician. The middlemen, the people who stood between you and your audience, between your idea and the world, they're disappearing. This is both terrifying and incredibly exciting. It's terrifying because the safety net is gone. But it's exciting because, for the first time in history, you have the power to build your own platform, to create your own path, to choose yourself. But here's the catch, and it's the most important part of this whole idea. You can't just wake up one day and say, "Okay, I choose myself." It doesn't work that way. Why? Because for years, we've been trained to seek approval from the outside. We've been taught that we're not good enough until someone else says we are. A teacher gives you an A. A coach puts you on the team. A boss gives you a job. We spend our lives waiting to be chosen. And when we're not chosen, we feel the sting of rejection. Rejection is the biggest wall that stands between you and choosing yourself. Think about it. The fear of a girl saying no. The fear of a college sending a thin envelope. The fear of not getting the job. That fear paralyzes us. So, how do you break free? Altucher learned the hard way that you can't build a new life on a broken foundation. When he was at his lowest, he realized that every time he had managed to climb off the floor, it wasn't because he landed a new deal or came up with a brilliant idea. It was because he started fixing himself from the inside out. He calls this the daily practice. This is the absolute core of the book. It's not some vague, self-help idea. It's a concrete framework for building a foundation so strong that no amount of external chaos can knock you down for long. The practice is built on strengthening what he calls the four bodies: the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. Imagine your life is like a house. You can't put a strong roof on it if the walls are crumbling and the foundation is cracked. These four bodies are your foundation. Let's start with the physical body. This is the shell that carries you through the world. You don't have to be a marathon runner, but you have to be healthy. It's simple stuff we all know but often ignore, especially when we're stressed. Sleep 7 to 9 hours a night. Eat good food, not junk. Move your body, take a walk. If your physical body is sick, tired, and running on fumes, you have zero chance of having the energy to build anything meaningful. It's the first domino. Next is the emotional body. This is about who you surround yourself with. Think of your energy as a glass of water. Some people pour into your glass. They inspire you, support you, and want you to win. Others poke holes in your glass. They are the critics, the complainers, the ones who drain you of your energy. The daily practice here is simple but hard. Surround yourself only with the people who lift you up. And for those you can't avoid, maybe a negative family member or coworker, learn to not engage. Smile, be polite, but don't let them suck you into their drama. You can't build a positive life on a foundation of negative relationships. Then, we have the mental body. Your mind is like a wild horse. If you don't tame it, it will run wild with worry, anxiety, and fear. It will obsess over the past and panic about the future. So, how do you tame it? You have to give it a job. You have to make it sweat. And this leads to one of the most powerful, actionable ideas in the entire book: become an idea machine. Every single day, take out a notebook and write down 10 ideas. They don't have to be good ideas. They can be business ideas, book ideas, ideas to surprise your friends, ideas for how to solve a problem at school, anything. The point isn't to come up with one brilliant, life-changing idea. The point is to exercise your idea muscle. Most people wait for inspiration to strike. But inspiration is a myth. Creativity is a muscle. If you don't use it, it atrophies. If you write down 10 ideas a day, that's 3,650 ideas in a year. Most of them will be terrible. But a few will be gold. And more importantly, you will have trained your brain to see solutions and opportunities everywhere. When you become an idea machine, you are never again at the mercy of a single job or a single path. You have an endless supply of possibilities. This is the engine of choosing yourself. Finally, there's the spiritual body. Now, this isn't about religion. It's about being present. Most of us spend our lives time traveling. We live in regret about the past or anxiety about the future. But the past is a memory and the future is a fantasy. Neither of them exists. The only thing that's real is right now. The practice here is to catch yourself when you're time traveling. When you feel that knot in your stomach about something you did yesterday, or that fear about what might happen tomorrow, just notice it. Say to yourself, I'm time traveling again, and gently bring yourself back to the present moment. Another simple spiritual practice? Gratitude. Every morning, before you do anything else, just think of 5 people or things you are genuinely grateful for right now. This simple act shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. It rewires your brain for abundance. So, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. That's the foundation. When these 4 bodies are healthy and working together, something magical happens. The world starts to bend in your direction. Opportunities appear. You start to attract the right people. Let's look at how this works in the real world. The book is filled with incredible stories of people who, often out of desperation, chose themselves. Take the story of Kamal Ravikant. Kamal was sick. Really sick. For months, he was bedridden with a mysterious illness that doctors couldn't diagnose. He was in constant pain, and he thought he was going to die. His business was failing, a relationship had ended, a close friend had passed away. His external world had collapsed, and his internal world followed. His body completely broke down. Lying in bed, with nothing left, he started repeating a simple mantra to himself, over and over. I love myself. I love myself. It felt fake at first, but he kept doing it. And slowly, miraculously, he started to get better. His body began to heal. His mind grew lighter. He chose to give himself the love he was no longer getting from the outside world. Once he was healthy, he wrote a short book about his experience called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. He didn't wait for a publisher. He put it on Amazon himself. That book became a massive bestseller. He chose himself to live, and then he chose himself to share his story. Or look at the music industry. For decades, if you wanted to be a star, you had to be chosen by a big record label. But then a young musician from England named Alex Day decided to bypass the system entirely. He started posting videos on YouTube. He wasn't just posting music, he was talking to his audience, building a community, a tribe. He didn't tour. He didn't have a marketing machine. He just had a direct connection with his fans. When he released his album, it went head-to-head with a new album from Justin Timberlake, one of the biggest stars on the planet. And on the iTunes chart in the UK, Alex Day's self-released album, funded by his fans, beat Justin Timberlake. He didn't need the gatekeepers. He had his tribe. He chose himself. This is happening in every single industry. The tools are now available for anyone to build their own platform. But having the tools is not enough. You have to have the courage to use them. And that courage doesn't come from a business plan. It comes from that solid foundation of the daily practice. When you're healthy inside, you become fearless outside. This brings us to another crucial idea. Honesty makes you more money. This sounds completely backward, doesn't it? We see the headlines about the Bernie Madoffs of the world, and we think the only way to get ahead is to lie and cheat. Altucher argues this is a complete illusion. Dishonesty, he says, works until it doesn't. And when it fails, it's catastrophic. You're out of the game forever. Honesty, on the other hand, compounds. Like money in a savings account, the trust you build through honesty grows exponentially over time. Every time you give credit to others, every time you introduce two people who can help each other without asking for anything in return, every time you admit a mistake instead of making an excuse, you are making a deposit in the bank of trust. Think about Google. What does Google do? It's completely honest. You ask it a question, and it says, "I know nothing about that, but here are 10 other websites that do." It sends you away from its own site. It recommends its competition, and because it's the most trusted source, we all keep going back. It became the most powerful company in the world by being the most helpful and honest guide. When you become a source of value for others, when you give your ideas away, when you connect people, when you promote others, you build your own empire of trust. Abundance flows to those who are trusted. This is a complete reversal of the old way of thinking, which was to hoard your contacts, protect your ideas, and fight for every last scrap of credit. In the Choose Yourself era, your power comes not from what you hold, but from what you give away. Of course, this journey is not a straight line to success. There will be failure. Lots of it. Altucher himself failed in about 18 of the 20 businesses he started. The key is how you view failure. Most people see failure as a verdict. I failed, therefore I am a failure. But the most successful people see failure as a lesson. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can I do it differently next time? They understand that persistence isn't about never falling down. It's about getting up one more time than you fall. It's about, as Altucher says, failing until you accidentally no longer fail. Think of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She had an idea for a new kind of shapewear for women. She had no experience in fashion or manufacturing. She spent her nights in the library, researching patents. She cold called factory after factory, and they all told her no. They thought her idea was crazy. She got rejected over and over again. But she kept going. She found one factory owner who was willing to take a chance. She started with just $5,000 of her own savings. She never took a dime from investors. Today, she is a self-made billionaire. She chose herself when an entire industry rejected her. The lesson here is profound. When the world says no, you have a choice. You can believe it and give up. Or you can use that no as fuel. You can look at what you're doing and ask, how can I improve my product? How can I improve my approach? How can I expand my audience so I'm not dependent on this one gatekeeper? Rejection is not a stop sign. It's a fork in the road, forcing you to find a more creative path. As you start to live this way, practicing daily, becoming an idea machine, building trust through honesty, and learning from failure, you'll notice something strange. You'll stop caring so much about what other people think. This is the power of another one of Altucher's counterintuitive rules. Don't have opinions. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't have values or beliefs. It means letting go of the need to be right all the time. Think about how much energy we waste arguing with people, especially online, trying to prove our point. Does anyone ever change their mind? Almost never. It's a huge drain of your precious mental and emotional energy. Altucher suggests a simple exercise. Every time you have a strong judgment about something, that person should do this, just change the punctuation at the end from an exclamation point to a question mark. That person should do this, it turns your certainty into curiosity. It opens you up to understanding instead of judging. It's a more peaceful, and ultimately more powerful, way to move through the world. So, where does this all lead? It leads to a life where you are the one in control. Not a boss, not a corporation, not some external system. You. It leads to a life where you are no longer a cog in a machine, but the artist of your own existence. The book ends with a beautiful visualization. Draw a small circle, and in the center, write down what you do. Maybe it's student, artist, coder. Now, draw a bigger circle around that one. In this ring, write down all the people you directly affect, your family, your friends, your customers. Then draw another, bigger circle. Who do they affect? And another, until your circles encompass the entire world. This isn't an exercise in ego. It's an exercise in realizing your potential. Your actions, no matter how small they seem, ripple outward. When you choose to be healthy, to be creative, to be honest, you don't just change your own life. You send a ripple of positive energy out into the world that touches people you will never even meet. That is the ultimate expression of choosing yourself. It's the realization that the best way to change the world is to first, and always, change yourself. Commentary. As we wrap up, I want you to just sit with that idea for a moment. The world we live in today can feel overwhelming. It's noisy, it's chaotic, and there's a constant pressure to keep up, to get ahead, to prove your worth. We're bombarded with images of success that seem impossibly far away. It's so easy to feel small, to feel like you're just a passenger in a life that's moving too fast. What I find so powerful about Choose Yourself is that it offers a quiet rebellion against all of that noise. It's a declaration of independence. James Altucher's message, born from his own painful journey, is that true power, true freedom, and true success are not things you find out there. They are not granted to you by a company, a university, or a system. They are things you build, brick by brick, from the inside. The daily practice, focusing on your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health, is not just a nice idea. It is the most practical, strategic thing you can do to prepare for the future. In a world that is constantly changing, a world where the jobs of tomorrow haven't even been invented yet, the only stable asset you truly have is you. Your health, your creativity, your resilience, your ability to connect with other people, that is your real currency. And for someone your age, standing at the beginning of it all, this message is a gift. It frees you from the pressure of having to have it all figured out. You don't need to know what your purpose is for the rest of your life. Colonel Sanders didn't even start franchising KFC until he was 65 years old. Your only purpose right now is to build a strong foundation. So, how can you start? Don't try to do everything at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm. Just pick one thing. Maybe tonight, you decide to get a full 8 hours of sleep. That's it. That's your practice for the day. You're working on your physical body. Or maybe tomorrow, you take out a piece of paper and you write down 10 ideas. Just 10 silly, crazy, impossible ideas. You're exercising your idea muscle. Or maybe you just take a moment to send a text to a friend and tell them you're grateful for them. You're tending to your emotional and spiritual body. These actions seem small. They seem insignificant. But they are the seeds. They are the tiny deposits into the bank account of your future self. Over time, they compound into a life of strength, creativity, and freedom. A life where you are no longer waiting to be chosen, because you are the one who chooses. That was a deep dive into Choose Yourself, by James Altucher. We've explored the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real treasure is found when you walk the path yourself. The true magic happens in the quiet moments of reading, when a particular story or a simple phrase connects with you in a way you didn't expect. This journey we took was designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time. If anything we've talked about has sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning new information, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself and the path ahead. A link to the book is waiting for you in the description. Also, if you found this exploration valuable and it gave you a new perspective, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the world's most successful minds. Let's keep learning and growing together.